And what we'll do is, if you wouldn't mind, first of all, tell us a little bit about your family, first of all. Was there any crafts people in your family? Any trades people, like?
No. My father was a boilerman in Henry Denny's. I think he was there for about 50 years. And he used to be doing all the stuff. I used to bring down his tea in the evening, you know. And he had me walking down there while he was having his tea. I remember shoveling coal into the boiler.
Go away.
When I was only about 10 years of age.
Go away.
Yeah. And he used to get me then to used to have a bell to ring when the people were going off at 5:30, I think it was, you see. And I used to have to look out the door of the boiler house. And I'd have to ring the bell then, and he used to tell me, don't ring that bell until the last minute, you see. So I'd look out the door, and I'd look up, and all the women would be ready to come out. And they'd be all shouting, young Welsh, ring that bell. So I should go back in again then. Then I'd come out then, and he'd look at the clock, my father would be sitting down having his tea. And then I'd go out there and I'd ring it, and I'd ring it. The minute I'd ring it, I'd be nearly knocked down with the rush.
So was your father Black Garden, or was he? Or was that?
Oh no, he had a job of ringing the bell.
Okay, so that was his under orders.
So. Under orders, yeah.
And then your mum, was she a housewife then, or what was it?
Yeah.
And what was her family name?
Her family name was Hannigan. She came from 26 Dial Street.
Okay.
Her father came from Stradbally, and her mother came from Bunmain. And her father was a real Pernalite, you know. And my father was an IRA man, and I don't know how they got on.
Oh, well, it wasn't too far apart. I mean, it was all about Irish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Freedom or whatever. And where did they meet your parents? You know?
Oh, I couldn't tell you that. I haven't a clue.
And then, were you born here in Barris?
Oh yeah,
okay.
We're all born here in this house.
Okay. And did you go to Mount Sinai then, obviously?
The first school I went to when I was about 3.5, I went down to De La Salle because my first cousins were going there, and they brought me down with them. And I was there about a week, and we all used to be up there playing an organ. So when we were told we were finished playing the organ, get down off of that, she said. So I didn't like that, so I left and I went back up. Next thing I ended up in Mount Sinai. So I was there then up to Mount Sinai. I think I went into the tech in 40 years, I think. I was there for 3 years.
And the tech, what year did you leave Mount Sinai? What age were you like? What age?
Oh, I think I was 14.
Okay.
14.
So you went down to the tech.
Down to the tech.
And what was that like, the tech?
Oh, great. I loved all that stuff, the art, woodwork, metalwork, art, all that kind of stuff, you know.
So you got to use your hands then?
Got to use my hands, yeah, okay. Yeah. And
you had a good eye, obviously, because I saw one of the drawings you did. You were good at drawing.
Oh, I used to love that, yeah. So anyway, somebody came in one day and asked, we're looking for apprentices for a new glass factory, right? I didn't know much about it now at the time, so there was a crowd of us put down our names. And we were supposed to go in 1951. And there was something happened to the building. It started to sink. So it was delayed. So they picked out 4 fellas. The first fella they picked out was Nicky Jacob. And he was there now, I think, in early 51. And then in December 51, they picked out Tom Dowden, Eddie Redmond, and Harvey Wilmot. So they went in then. So the rest of us then went in March 52. There was John Coughlin, Davy Lennon. Davy only died there recently. Frank Lee, Noel Burns, John McNamara, Billy O'Neill, John Drone, and a chap by the name of Chicken Pender. I don't know what his first name was, but he left after a few months. So did John Drone, and so did Billy O'Neill. They all went off to England, and so the first place we went to was Ballytruckle, right? So we went out to Ballytruckle anyway. The lads that were there, the cutters that were there, were putting wheels and stuff into boxes that were being moved down to Johnstown. So I got a job of stamping the glasses with a Garda sergeant, the pint glasses. You know, they were soda glasses. You know, and of course they were only experimenting then on the crystal at that time. So we were doing all stamping the glasses on the tumblers and the pint glasses. Sorry. So I was the last fella then left in Ballytruckle. So I was getting worried that they might be starting to cut down in Johnstown. So I said to who was my boss at the time was Eddie Russell, a lovely fella. I said to Eddie, any chance, I said, you send me into Johnstown? All right, he says. So fixed it up the following Monday. I went into Johnstown. And what we were doing in Johnstown then was grinding the soda. And they gradually then started to...
Now, when you say grinding, you're talking putting the edge on the glass?
Putting the edge on the glass. Okay. But the glass was all had to been broken off, and it was very sharp. So you'd have to grind that to a certain height. There was a measure. You had to measure it. There was all sorts of glass, or little liqueurs, and there was sherries and what have you, tumblers and all that. And it was girls we were working with on the grinding machines. There was two of us fellas, and one of the girls, she was more experienced than us, So we were taught how to grind by the girls, So then, gradually then they started producing the crystal. And I worked with the first people I worked with was Joe McCarthy and Paddy O'Keefe. Well, I give you the names of the originals. Yeah. Right, they were two. There was Tommy Hennessy, Frank Welch, Jimmy Verdi, Paddy Curran, Eddie Flavin, Tom Carey, used to be known as Toddy, Eddie Flavin, did I say? Eddie Flavin, Nicholas White, and Eamon O'Brien, Paddy Hennessy, Tommy Kirby. They were all the original fellas,
So they were the first master cutters, or?
They were the first master cutters, yeah. Okay. Irish.
Okay. Actually, on that subject, would you have known a lot of the German and the Italian? And
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what were they like to work with?
They were all right, but they were Germans. They were very serious about everything, You weren't supposed to move. When you were cutting, you weren't supposed to move your head left or right or talk to the fella next to you. You're supposed to just keep working,
So they're very strict.
But the boss at the time was a man by the name of Oscar Ilk. And the Germans that were there in the cutting shop then were a man by the name of Switler, Tenzer, Zimmerman, Muller, that's who I worked with, Franz Muller, and Erben, and Platner, came along later. I remember the name of Smith, and I remember the name of Kit, and there was a man by the name of Kyle over, and very quiet man altogether. And he didn't stay that long now. He left, and Kit left, and I went from Paddy O'Keefe's bench and Joe McCarthy's bench to a man named Franz Muller, and I was with him for about three years until they started to break up. Then different fellas going to different benches, you know.
And was he a good cutter, Muller?
Oh yeah, no, they all knew that stuff, you know. But when we went in there first now, the water was cold, you know, and we were trying to work in the winter time now with cold water, and we had that condition now for nearly 2 years, and the hands used to be falling off us.
Yeah, describe to people, because people might know what would be involved. Tell us what would be involved.
Well, you had a wheel, and there was water running on it, and you had to have a certain amount of water on it. The water, you would be cut. First of all, we say the senior cutter would be cutting carborundum. That'd be a rough cut, and you'd be, as an apprentice, you'd be going over that with a stone wheel, right? But whether it's a carborundum or whether it's a stone, yeah, you have to have water running on it, and the water was cold there now for about 3 years. The hands used to be falling off us. But after that, then the heat of the water, and I remember Mr. Batchy telling us we should be able to produce more now, right? That was all right anyway, but the heating system in the cutting shop wasn't very good. And what we used to do then, we used to have kind of a tank beside you on the bench, and you'd have to fill that with hot water, and you'd warm your hands for a while, then you go back cutting. When you felt getting cold, you put your hands into the water again. So
and I believe the blowers had the opposite problem.
Oh,
they were too hot.
Oh, it was too hot for them. So what we used to do in the blowing is, if we were going down to work in the winter time, now we were after getting wet with the old coats we used to have on, we used to go in and hang them inside in the blowing room. So it'd be dry again, we'd be going home. And what I remember what they had one time was to heat the place, they brought in these watchmen's braziers, you know, with coke in them and sticks in them. And we could knock off and go down and heat ourselves from that, then go back up again, you know. And the other problem then at the beginning was the bats. You had a bat under the wheel. The water was going into the bat. But the bat used to fill up very fast. It all depends on what you were working on, but if you were using a lot of water, the bat had filled up. So what you had to do was turn off the tap and get this pipe and a bucket. And it used to be a pipe, and it would be long on one side and short on the other side. And it was what was called, it was a natural way of the water to run. You put the pipe into the bat, and you got the long part, and you stuck it outside, and the water would continue running into the bucket. You filled up the bucket, brought it down someplace down the end of the cutting shop, and dumped the water. Came back up and done it again. When the bat was empty, then you started off cutting again. So after another, I don't know how many months we were doing that, maybe 12 months, they decided then to connect up, have the water running into, or the water running out of the bats into the chutes underneath the benches, and running off then. So we didn't have to empty the bats again. What used to happen to the bats then is they gradually get filled up with the the silt off of the wheels and the glass. So we used to have these little shovels, and we just have to dig out the stuff out of the bat, the waste out of the bat, and dump that somewhere else, you know. So they changed all that anyway. They got general workers to take away the bat, put up a clean bat, and we didn't have to do that anymore. So it was gradually then spreading out, and
come here, did you find it was quite repetitive to work, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
You had to keep, if you had a certain cut to do, you had to keep doing it.
Oh, keep doing it, yeah. I mean, you got with small, what we used to call the small cutting stuff, which was glasses. You usually get them in 300s. So you'd be on them now for a couple of days, you know. And gradually then when they start producing different stuff, you get a program. And on the program then it would be heavies, light heavies, and lights. The heavies would be a vase, maybe you get 25 vases, about maybe the old ones used to be 14 inches high or 11 inches. And then light heavies would be such a thing now as small vases, honey jars, and stuff like that. And the lights then would be all glasses. There'd be glasses. And you had to produce so many of them to earn your wages, because we're on piecework. Now, the problem was then with a lot of the stuff is the pricing. At the very beginning, I don't know who used to price the glass, but they weren't cutters, you know. Now, you could get there was a certain items, the price was good on them, and there was other items and the price was bad on them. So if you got too many of the bad ones, you have some job trying to earn your wages, you know. So as years went by then, what we decided was we better try and even out the prices, you know. We took money off of the good ones and put them onto the bad ones. That helped, but it wasn't 100% perfect, because there was still an awful lot of bad prices on glass, you know. And
were you involved in the union at all?
I was, yeah. I was on the union for a while, yeah.
And what was that like? I mean, as a young lad, did you know much about the unions?
Well, I didn't. Well, I'll give you a funny instance now that we had to go in to see Noel Griffin one time, and I was at being picked out by the apprentices, to represent the apprentices. And I went in with Tommy Hennessy, Paddy O'Keefe, and I think Joe McCarthy. They were senior fellas, you know. So I was terrified going in there. Noel Griffin was there, and we were discussing stuff in the cutting shop. And I remember one time Paddy O'Keefe saying to Noel Griffin, he was complaining, he was talking about Mr. Batchy. Batchy was general manager at the time. And he was saying, Mr. Griffin, he said, Mr. Batchy treats us like children. And Griffin said, sure, he treats me like that too, he said. You know? So that was my first experience of going into a meeting, but I didn't go into them very often, you know. So Paddy O'Keefe was the main union man among the cutters, you know. He was doing it for years, you know. But
but it sounds like you needed, you know, the conditions were very bad at the start.
Oh, they were. Oh, Jesus, they were. I often wondered about Mr. Batchy. You know, they said that he owned a glass factory in Czechoslovakia. That's where he came from. And I mean, what were the conditions like in Czechoslovakia? You know, was he cotton over here, you know, at the very beginning? you know. So were they working in cold conditions over in Czechoslovakia the same as we were? I don't know about that. But gradually then the Germans then started to leave. The Irish took over then, you know. And we ended up then, it was getting bigger and bigger. There was six on a bench. A master and we say 2 qualified men and 3 apprentices. And as the years went by, then the apprentices then had to be moved to other benches. They had to put in other benches to create more production and spread the workforce all around, you see. So originally now we were working upstairs in Johnstown. The cutting shop was beside the blowing room. So anyway, they built an extension at the back. They bought all the land down the back in Johnstown, and they built the cutting shop then downstairs. And we were there for so many years then, and then they decided to move out to Kilbarry, build a new factory out in Kilbarry. So we gradually started moving out to Kilbarry then, you know. So
were people happy with the move?
Yeah, they were. The conditions were a bit better, you know. It's a more modern place. Even though the heating system wasn't 100% working in the cutting shop, you know, we had a problem with the heat there.
In Kilbarry?
In Kilbarry. What happened was the heating system was supposed to, it was up in the ceiling, up in the roof. But what used to happen is the heat used to come out and disappear up under the roof. So they left too many gaps in the roof. So they had to seal that before the heat spread out around down lower, you know, among the workers, you know. But
I'd say the pubs in Johnstown were sad to see you go out to Kilbarry.
Oh, probably, yes, yeah. There was a place called Canty's there, you know. That was right beside the glass factory, you know, beside the Johnstown. But the glass brought that after. They had it for offices, you know. Then they built new offices in Johnstown. They built a canteen in there. And
and then you obviously saw the glass factory from a time where it was very basic.
Oh yeah.
To where it was very much in demand and big money and all that, correct?
Yeah. So. I remember reading the Sunday Express one time, and they were really starting to think about moving to Kilbarry, you know. I suppose some of the buildings were started in Kilbarry. But I remember reading a report on the Sunday Express when Whatever Glass was going public, you know, what they call it.
On the stock exchange.
On the stock exchange and all that, you see. And this fella, he was writing about it, and he said he was given about the money that was being made by Whatever Glass, you know. Now he said, you mightn't think, no, that's great, but you want to see where it came from, he said, you know. I mean, the conditions in Johnstown were so basic, you know. So we moved out to Kilbarry then and started to move out there in the 60s, you know. By the way, I have to tell you about, we used to have to lead our own wheels. We had a table whereby you with a spindle in it, the same kind of a spindle that you'd be using on the bench. And what you do is you get the wheel. There was a kind of a little kind of a well around the spindle on the table, and you cover that with sand, right? You put the wheel down over the spindle. You put a ring on the spindle and you'd melt lead, and you pour the lead in, and it came out then around where the ring was. The ring would be about some case now to be half an inch. It all depends on the size of the wheel you were leading. If there's a big wheel, the ring would be about 3 or 4 inches. It went down then to smaller rings for smaller wheels. So the minute you poured in the lead in, it got cold real fast. So what you do then, you just twisted it off, turned it off, and you had the wheel ready to go onto the spindle. You know, so that's what we used to do.
You did a lot of things then, eh?
Oh, yeah. And we used to have to chip out the... we used to have to put notches in the wheel. The wheels used to come along with a ring, a hole in it, about maybe 2 inches in diameter. And we used to have to put notches in it with a chisel so that the lead had gripped the wheel, you know. So then we got the idea, then we found that if you got a saw, and we used to get the fitter, we used to get old saws off of the fitters, hacksaws, you know, and you could saw the wheel, put notches in with the saw, and that was good. That was lovely because you could put in more notches into them, you know. So that's what we used to have to do with the wheels, to let the wheels.
Like MacGyver's, were you?
Yeah. So.
And then you became a master cutter of what year? Would that be? In the
That's
60s,
the 60s, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then obviously you saw a lot of apprentices through your hands then.
Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, the company were experimenting with deaf and dumb people. Could they be employed in the glass factory? So Jim Irish and me, we were picked out to have the first 2 in the cutting shop. I had a chap by the name of Leonard Lai, very good, and Jim Irish had a chap by the name of Boyce. And Leonard now was great, you know. And I used to be asking him, you see, if you were cutting a vase or something, and it might whistle, you see, and when you heard it whistling, I mean, it was getting ready to break, because it mightn't be annealed right, you know. It had to come through the layer, you know, properly. So I said to him one day about hearing the whistle, you know, and says he feel it in his fingers. He used to feel the vibration. Then he used to take it easy. Good idea, I said, you know. But he was a gay chap. Turned out to be a great cutter.
And would he lip read you then?
Yeah, we could. As a matter of fact, Tom Healy came in to me one day and he was asking me about him. And I told him he was going grand and everything, you see. Next thing, we were talking and we just happened to look up. He was up at the other end of the bench and he looked down at me. And there's what I done, like that, you see. So when Tom Healy was gone, I went up to him and I said, "What are you doing?" I said, he said, "I could read your lips," he said. He could read what I was saying. I said, "I better be careful what I'm saying," I said. You know, he was a great chap. So anyway, the years went by and and let's see, what else could I talk about?
Just talk a little bit about the end period, because you retired when?
In 87.
Okay. And was that tough going to retire after all those years?
No, it wasn't.
Okay, you were happy to go?
I was happy to go,
okay.
Yeah.
And you got your pension?
I got a pension, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So but then later on you saw what happened to the other workers
Oh, yeah.
to get their pension.
Oh, yeah. That was disgraceful, you know. Yeah, some people had no problem getting money out of it, you know. But all the workers had a problem. And the union then had to bring it to the EU to make sure that they got their pension, because his government didn't want to be giving them the money, you know.
Yeah.
So, what happened there was, there was a problem in England over the newspapers. There was a fellow there, what was his name? He was a multi-millionaire.
Murdoch or something?
No, not him, no. He owned the newspapers. I can't think of his name. Remember, he got drowned off a boat. What was his name? But anyway, he was after robbing the pension fund from all these workers. And they brought it to court, the European court, and the British government brought in a law then about that these that won't happen again. These people, if anybody touches the pension fund, then they'll have to cough up somewhere. The government will have to cover it. You see, so that's what the union was able to say to the Irish government, if they were able to get it in England. And by the way, Waterford Glass owned it, companies in England, what do they call them, used to make the cups and so. Wedgwood, yeah. So if the law in England covered the workers in Wedgwood, then it had to cover the workers in Ireland, you know. So that's how they ended up getting it. They had to go to the European Court to make sure that they got it, you know.
I mean, what do you think now, looking back on all that? I mean, about the fact that we don't have the glass factory anymore and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Well, I think it's a shame, you know. When you look out there now you see it's a pile of rubble, you know. I don't see any reason why it had to go, you know. And by the way then, what happened then was, they changed over from the old style, from the stone wheels, they can't run them, the stone wheels, to diamond wheels. Now the diamond wheel was very fast, very sharp. It done away with the carbon London wheel. So there's only one way of cutting using this diamond wheel. But the only problem with the diamond wheel was the finish wasn't as good as the old stone wheels. So to try and compete with the old stone wheels, they used stronger acid to bring out the crystal, the brightness in it, you see.
Yeah.
But what happened was, they rounded off the cuts with the strong acid, a thing called actol. And the quality of the glass didn't look the same as it did with the old style, the sharp edges of the cutting and all that. So that was the downside of the actol, of the diamond wheels. So.
And you'd notice that?
Huh?
You would know, if you saw old glass and new glass, you'd know the difference.
Oh, I would, yeah. I would, yeah. We used to be joking years ago about if a fella wasn't there to cutting the glass deep enough, we used to say to something like you see down in Woolworths. And that's the way a Waterford Glass ended up, like something you get in Woolworths. So they ended up then, they getting it made everywhere, all over the continent. As a matter of fact, I was only told recently that they were made it in China. So you can imagine, it went from the what we call it, the most expensive stuff down to the cheapest stuff, you know.
And I know you're in a hurry, so what I'm going to do is, before we finish, I'm going to just hand you a few things and maybe talk a little bit about them, because I know you're in a hurry. This is your first, just show that to the camera and then just tell us a little bit about it, and then this is your when you became an apprentice.
Yeah, from 52 to 57, 5 years. I qualified as a cutter, and I had to cut a piece, 5-year bowl they called it, right? And I have that. That's over there.
And who signed this? This is kind of interesting, this one. The two people that are on it is your master cutter.
Mr. Griffin.
Yeah, but isn't there a master cutter on it as well? Who was your master cutter at that stage?
Oh, that was Muller, I say, yeah. Franz Muller.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Griffin, who was the manager at that stage?
Yeah, he was the managing director at that
What was
stage.
he like?
He was a good man. He was a good man.
And was he involved with Irish Glass, was it, or at that time stage? Was it?
Irish Glass Bottle, they were involved in that. But I remember when the McGraths came along, they took it over from Mr. Batchy, you know. He needed extra money, and they took it over, you know. And I remember one day, there was a crowd that came in, Joe McGrath and his sons, and oh Jesus, such a crowd of people came in. He was like an Arab sheikh coming in with all the crowd that were with him. They were all about him, you know. So when they took it over, yeah. So, but then again, when he died then, and the rest of the sons, they didn't know an awful lot about glass, you know. And they knew more about horses now than they did about glass. And there was people on the sideline then, this Tony O'Reilly. He saw that he could make a lot of money out of it, so he took it over. And I remember at the time they were saying the profits were 10 million, something at the time. And I remember Tony O'Reilly saying, we'll get 40 million. And he did, I think. But he wasn't a man to worry much about the workers,
No.
you know.
Do you see the middle bowler? Yeah, please. That's his apprentice cook. Wait.
Sorry, no, wait, I'm only handing in these.
You're fine, we're nearly finished then. We're nearly finished. You're fine. So,
Everything going all
tell
right?
us about that one there.
This is called a 5-year test piece. And you had to do that when you qualified. And it's a lovely design, you know. It's a complicated design, you know. So everybody had to do that.
You need to sit back because the microphone. Sorry, Colin. So this is everybody had to do this in order to get their certificate or
Yeah.
to get out of apprenticeship.
That's right, yeah.
And then you got into the money.
Into the money. well, as a girl getting into the money, anything you got, you had to work for it. And it was a piece race system. And you had a problem then with, as I say, some of the classes you got, you made money on it, and there's others you couldn't make money on it. And if you got too much of the bad stuff, you'd have a job making your wages, you know?
Yeah.
So it was kind of a dog-eat-dog situation, because you had people running benches who would bully the people to make more money, you know?
What do you mean bully the people?
Huh?
What do you mean? Give a few bob or something?
No, they'd be onto them the whole time
right,
about,
so
you know?
shouting at
You know, shouting at it. There's such a thing as you had to do so many an hour. We're saying you take glasses, for instance, now. There was a system put on the glasses that certain items you might have to say one item you might have to cut 10 an hour. Others you might have to do 15 an hour. It all depends on the the design, you know. Some were more exotic than others, you know. So, human nature being what it was, some people could do this, other people couldn't, you know. So,
and was it very hard then? A lot of pressure on people then?
Oh yeah, they were. Of course they were.
Like mentally, did people find that difficult?
Oh, they did, yeah. Oh yeah, if you speak to anybody now today now, saying, would you go back to the glass factory again? They say no way, you know, especially in the cotton shop. You know,
So
we're called the white
too pressurised then?
Huh?
It was too pressurised?
Oh, it was too pressurised, yeah. Now, you take me now, for instance, now. I had a bench, six was on the bench, right? Now, the kind of a problem you'd have there now is there now, I wasn't married, right? But there was two of the fellas married, and the rest of them were single. Now, the single fellas, they only wanted enough money to get a few drinks at the end of the week. But the married fellas had to pay a mortgage, and they'd be pushing to make more money. So, you had a problem with the married fellas saying to me, I think we should be able to make more, you see. Yeah, I said, but you go up and tell the single fellas to help you with your mortgage. What did they wanted was a few drinks. So you had that kind of pressure, you know. And that was all over the place, you know.
Yeah. And then also with that, wasn't there a lot of resentment in Waterford about how well paid you were in comparison to a lot of other places?
Oh, of course. Yes, but they're forgetting about all the tax we were paying. Now, I was single, any single, I was paying 62 pence in the pound. Robbery. So we organised a march to go up to Dublin about the tax march, and we all went up. There was a couple of hundred went up a march down O'Connor Street, but I don't think it done much though, you know. Oh yeah. I should was it's all very fine. You're talking about, oh hey, you're getting some wages, yeah. It's going in one way and out the other.
62 pence a pound.
62 pence in a pound. And there was two, what did they call them? Extra, what did they call them? I can't think of what did they call them now. Extra amounts on them. And I always remember we were paying 2 shillings or 4 shillings in 2 different groups. And I found out years after the money was being used to educate young farmers, you know. Yeah. Oh, sure. It was hard work.
There's one other piece of glass I wouldn't mind getting you to look at, or just tell us a little bit about. You see that the top one over there now? You have to be very careful. No.
This?
Yeah. You might need to move those glasses first, yeah.
Got it.
Thanks very much. So, Peter, this is a lovely piece. Do you want to tell us a little bit about this?
We started off in 1958, I think it was. We asked, could we get a piece for Christmas? We'd buy the blank, and we'd cut it ourselves. So the management agreed. So that was the beginning of the Christmas pieces, and this is my first Christmas piece. This was 1958, I think it was, or 59, or something like that.
So you designed this yourself?
I designed that myself. You buy the blank, right, and you put your own design on it, you know.
It's very beautiful.
Yeah, it's a lovely job, yeah.
And did any of them kind of look at it and say, geez, we should do some of them ourselves?
Well, they wouldn't, because it'd be too... They never produce them fast enough, you know, to make money. They'd have to charge too much for them, you know. So the actual company design would be a lot simpler than that, you know.
Yeah. So you'd spend hours and hours on this.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Okay.
right.
So you'd stay over after work and do this, or how would you do it?
We used to get, yes, right, 2 nights a week, on a Tuesday and a Thursday. 3 hours each night. And we used to be at it from, we say, about 8 nights, but if you didn't finish at that time, they'd give you extra time to finish it off, you know. You know,
Yeah. So it's a lovely piece.
yeah.
And I suppose, just looking back now, is there anything else you want to say about the... I mean, there was a great atmosphere in the place as well. I know there was like pressure, but there
Oh,
was,
pressure. Ah, yeah.
there was a bit of crack out there.
They were, of course, yeah. You know, you had the laugh as well, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and
Good characters, I suppose.
great characters, yeah, yeah. Not a lot of them dead now,
Yeah.
yeah.
At what age are you yourself, Peader?
I'm 84,
Well, you're,
since the 11th of December.
you're flying.
I'm doing all right,
for
yeah.
84.
I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
I'm all right.
And do you think will you live to see Waterford win the All-Ireland?
Please God.
Because I know you're a big hurling fan.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've been going since. Well, I was supposed to go up to the 40 years All Ireland, and with my father and his friend Bill Cooper, who lived up Monsley Street. Did you ever hear of Richie Cooper? He was a tenor. His father. Do you know the Richard Cooper to be on the television?
Comedian.
The what?
Is he a comedian?
Yeah,
Yeah.
him. He'd be the man that I was supposed to go to. He's
Like a grandson or something?
grandson. Yeah, yeah. But the man died. He died in Phillip Street on the way up on a Friday.
Cool.
Died sudden, and so that put the kibosh on me
Well-
going to All Ireland.
I presume you're at the 59 one, right?
Oh, I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the 57 one.
Okay.
And
And then there's a bit of a gap then.
there was a gap then, yeah, up to 63. Cripes, they should have won that too. It was the highest score for a losing team in an All Ireland.
Go away.
Yeah,
And who was that against 63?
Kilkenny.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Our nemesis.
yeah. Ollie Welch on goal. He never left in so many goals. 6 goals he left in.
Wow.
Yeah.
He was some keeper, wasn't he?
Oh, he was brilliant. Sure, he used to break Waterford's hearts and other people's hearts. He'd be diving from one side of the goal to the other, stopping balls from going in. Yeah.
And I mean, would you live in hope for Waterford?
Oh yeah. Oh, Derek McGrath done a great job, I thought. We had tough luck, you know.
And what about Fanning now? What do you think?
Oh, I give him a great chance. Yeah. The players are there, you know. You know.
And Kilkenny are not the team they were either, are they?
Oh, they're not, but the tradition with them, you know, they'll always dig out a few players, but they'll always know how to use what they have. You know. That's the difference. To be able to use what you have. You know, other teams would say now, Kilkenny could put in a fella corner forward that people are saying, what is he doing putting him in corner forward? But they'd know that he'd be able to do the job on that day, you know. That's the difference.
Oh, they're no fools, all right.
Mm.
Listen, Peader, thanks very much.
Thank you, Ali,
Yeah.
and thank you for your team
Yes.
spending the time.
I know you're in a hurry, so thanks very much.